From that day the Red Cock overflowed with milk and junkets, and every net was filled with fish. Matt and May grew fat on this fine living, and daily became richer. She churned quantities of butter, and he hired 2 men to help him in his fishing. The sea lay before him like a big fish tank, out of which he hauled as many as he required, and the cow continued to fend for herself. In autumn, when Matt and May went ashore, the cow went to sea, and in spring, when they returned to the rock, there she stood, awaiting them. "We shall require a better house," said May, the following summer. "The old one is too small for ourselves and the men." "Yes," said Matt. So he built a large cottage with a real lock to the door, and a storehouse for fish as well. And he and his men caught such quantities of fish that they sent tons of salmon, herring, and cod to Russia and Sweden. "I am quite overworked with so many folks," said May. "A girl to help me would not come amiss." "Get one, then," said her husband. And so they hired a girl. Then May said, "We have too little milk for all these folk. Now that I have a servant with the same amount of trouble, she could look after 3 cows." "All right, then," said her husband, somewhat provoked. "You can sing a song to the fairies." This annoyed May, but nevertheless she rowed out to the sea on Sunday night and sang as before. "Oh, auntie with the long, long beard, who dwellst in the deep blue sea, 1,000 cows are in thy herd. I pray thee, give 3 unto me." The following morning, instead of 1, 3 cows stood on the island, and they all ate seaweed and fed for themselves like the first one. "Art thou satisfied now?" said Matt to his wife. "I should be quite satisfied," said his wife, "if only I had 2 servants to help, and if I had some finer clothes. Don't you know that I am addressed as Madam?" "Well, well," said her husband. So May got several servants and clothes fit for a great lady. "Everything would now be perfect if only we had a little better dwelling for summer. You might build us a 2-story house and fetch soil to make a garden. Then you might make a little arbor trip up there to let us have a sea view, and we might have a fiddler to fiddle to us of an evening, and a little steamer to take us to church in stormy weather." "Anything more?" asked Matt, but he did everything that his wife wished. The rock Atolla became so grand, and May so grand, that all the sea urchins and herring were lost in the wonderment. Even Prince was fed on beefsteaks and cream scones till at last he was round as a butter jar. "Are you satisfied now?" asked Matt. "I should be quite satisfied," said May, "if only I had 30 cows. At least that number is required for such a household." "Go to the fairies," said Matt. His wife set out in the new steamer and sang to the Sea King. Next morning 30 cows stood on the shore, all finding food for themselves. "Knowest thou, good man, that we are far too cramped on this wretched rock, and where am I to find room for so many cows?" "There is nothing to be done but to pump out the sea." "Rubbish!" said his wife. "Who can pump out the sea?" "Try with thy new steamer. There's a pump in it." May knew well that her husband was only making fun of her, but still her mind was set upon the same subject. "I never could pump the sea out," thought she, "but perhaps I might fill it up. If I were to make a big dam, I might heap up sand and stones and make our island as big again." May loaded her boat with stones and went out to sea. The fiddler was with her, and fiddled so finely that Ahti and Wilmos and all the sea's daughters rose to the surface of the water to listen to the music. "What is that shining so brightly in the waves?" asked May. "That is sea foam glinting in the sunshine," answered the fiddler. "Throw out the stones," said May. The people in the boat began to throw out the stones, splash, splash, right and left, into the foam. One stone hit the nose of Wilmos' chief lady-in-waiting, another scratched the Sea Queen herself on the cheek, a third plumped close to Ahti's head and tore off half of the Sea King's beard. Then there was a commotion in the sea. The waves bubbled and bubbled like boiling water in a pot. "Whence comes this gust of wind?" said May. And as she spoke, the sea opened and swallowed up the steamer. May sank to the bottom like a stone, but stretching out her arms and legs, she rose to the surface, where she found the fiddler's fiddle and used it as a float. At the same moment she saw close beside her the terrible head of Ahti, and he only had half a beard. "Why did you throw stones at me?" roared the Sea King. "Oh, your Majesty, it was a mistake. Put some bear's grease on your beard, and it'll soon make it grow again." "Dame, did I not give you all you asked for? Nay, even more?" "Truly, truly, your Majesty, many thanks for the cows." "Well, where's the gold from the sun and the silver from the moon that you promised me?" Your Majesty, they've been scattered day and night upon the sea, except when the sky was overcast," slyly answered May. "I'll teach you," roared the Sea King, and with that he gave the fiddle such a puff that it sent the old woman up like a skyrocket onto her island. There Prince lay, as famished as ever, gnawing the carcass of a crow that sat Matt into his ragged grey jacket, quite alone on the steps of the old hut, mending a net. "Heavens, mother," said he, "where are you coming from such a whirlwind pace, and what makes you in such a dripping condition?" May looked around her amazed and said, "Where's our 2-story house?" "What house?" asked her husband. "Our big house, and the flower garden, and the men and the maids, and the 30 beautiful cows, and the steamer, and everything else." "You are talking nonsense, mother," said he. "The students have quite turned your head, for you sang silly songs last evening while we were rowing, and then you could not sleep till early morning. We had stormy weather during the night, and when it was past I did not wish to waken you, so rowed out alone to rescue the net." "But I've seen Auntie," rejoined May. "You've been lying in bed dreaming foolish fancies, mother, and then in your sleep you walked into the water." "But there is the fiddle," said May. "Fine fiddle, it's only an old stick." "No, no, old woman. Another time we'll be more careful. Good luck never attends fishing on a Sunday."